Hello again and welcome back. My name's Annie and this is my creative detour. Today is Full Deck Challenge Day, as you can see, and we're going on with card number 42, which is Feather. Now the Full Deck Challenge is a challenge that I've been doing all year, and it's ran by Shana from ShanoukiArt, and I'll link her below. And Shana gives us a prompt every week that we have to include in our card. We also need to carry over something from last week's card, and we have to use a constant. That is a constant item that we use all year on our particular card. So for me, that is paint swatches. And last week's card, we had our lovely lady Claire, and you can see I used a paint swatch on the side here, doing some zigzag. And I also zigzagged a tape measure, but on the back of the tape measure, I'm not sure whether you can see it, it's actually out of scrapbook paper. And the scrapbook paper has a grid pattern on the back of it. So I'm going to carry over some of that scrapbook paper onto this week's card. So let's get set up and I'll show you all of my materials. Now I've pulled out the 7 of spades and I've got a paint swatch. It's a Porter's paint swatch. I've also got some paper that has some handwritten information on it, and it's out of a typewriter practice book. So how you learn to type book, it's what it's out of. Here's this paper. You can see that there's the tape measure on that side of it, but on the back is the grid. So I'm going to use that. You can see that I also have a feather, and I have 2 lovely glass ink pots, so you can kind of get the theme of what I'm doing. And I have an Australian stamp. So it's going to be a fairly quick one today. I'm going to be doing a writing themed card with my Quill pen that's made out of a feather. Let's start by doing the background. I'm going to tear up some of this paper and put it on the face of the card as my writing. And I'm also going to put a piece of this down as the ground. So let's figure that out. So we'll punch out a hole for our number 7. Work out where that sits. Let's glue that paper on. Just going to do that with some glue stick because I think that the paper will show the art glitter glue through it. So let's just do it with glue stick today. The paper's quite thin out of the book. So let's cut that down. I hope everybody's doing well and having a good week. I've had a very, very busy week with my son here from Europe who's visiting at the moment. He goes home in a few days' time. He obviously had lots of things, people to see and things to do, you know, go and getting his eyes done and checked and all of those things while you're home that you get done. I'm going to put these 2 ink pots here, and I'm going to actually stamp some ink splotches on it as if it spilt some ink. That would be good. And we'll tuck in this somewhere, and we need to put some paint swatch in. Okay, I've just cut down that paint swatch to get some little bits of each colour, and I've stuck on some of that scrapbook paper onto the back. I think that I'd just like to put some of these down the side, just like a paint swatch really. Maybe the letter is about, it says here, it keeps pools. Something about a in-ground pool. So I think that the colour is quite appropriate if we put some paint swatches there, and we glue this down on here, stamp it, put our ink pots on and our stamp. All right, let's stamp some ink splotches onto this ink pot base. I might do it before we glue it on, just in case I muck it up. The stamp I'm using is a coffee stamp, and it's from Poppy Crafts, and the stamp number is 591, and I got this from Craft Online here in Australia. So let's stamp some splotches on there as if they're ink splotches. Yes, that will do. And we'll glue it on. Looks like somebody's tipped over the ink pot, doesn't it? You know that I've never written with a quill pen, a feather pen. And I suppose a lot of us haven't. But it's interesting, isn't it, how things change over time, become obsolete because of technology or progression. Yes, I'm liking that. That looks like it's grounded there with some blobs. And I think I'll glue those down. I'm liking the position of those. So I'm thinking the story for this is that somebody's getting a new pool and writing down all of the particulars about the pool and picking the colours of what to paint the bottom of the in-ground pool and sending off the information. I like that stamp tucked under there. Put that under there. Sending off all of the information to the pool manufacturer of how they want their pool made. Okay, I'm liking that. Let's stamp the back with the date. And today's date is the 29th. Stick it up here. All right, there we go. We've got all of those on. And then lastly, we have our feather to go on for our pen. I think I'm going to put it over this side just to obscure that 7 a little bit, just so it's just peeking through. And I think I'm going to staple it on with my tiny attacher. Yeah, that's looking pretty cute. Oh, I hope they like their pool. Now, I'll punch a hole in it. I think I need to just put a little bit of black watercolour pencil around the perimeter of the card. We might put a few white splatters on it. So let me clear the decks and we'll come back and do those things. Okay, I'm just dropping a little bit of watercolour around the bottom and smudging that ink a little bit to create a little bit of a grounding. Yeah, that will do. I'm just going to dip my black pencil, watercolour pencil, into the water. There we go. And I think that it just needs a little few splatters of white just to give it a bit of a lift. So let's do that. The dreaded white splatters. There we go, that will do. We don't want too many. Okay, here we go. Here's our card. And we have a story going on here of some people that are writing a letter about getting their pool. So it's quite old. The book, I think, is from the 70s. And they were handwriting a letter about which colour to paint the bottom of their pool. You can see here we've got a stamp with similar colours in the background for sending the letter. We've got some ink pots of ink, and they use an old-fashioned quill pen with a feather. And they've spilt all of the ink all over the bench. So there's our card. So that's our card for feather. I've put on some paint swatches and I carried over you can see here, I carried over the grid scrapbook paper. So let's add this one to our family. There we go, there's our card number 42 for the prompt feather. So thank you very much for joining me today. I really appreciate you popping in to see how we're traveling along with the full deck challenge. And I hope you're all having a great week, and I will be posting a few other projects in the next few days. So I'll see you very soon. Thanks again. Bye for now.